from SmartLife. And good morning everyone, Rob here from SmartLife. We've been developing smart home systems for many years. Started back in super yachts, moved on to luxury homes, and then now we've been working on developing systems for everybody, for a much wider range of homes and commercial businesses. So if we look at where the industries comes from, typically there's a number of control systems in the market that are designed to integrate everything together into one nice, easy to use system. The big problem is that they're super expensive and to buy and also to configure. So typically they're only found in mansions and super yachts, hotels, high-end homes, high-end boardrooms. The other end of the market, there's this kind of sea of apps. There's a lot of consumer products. Almost everything these days comes with an app. And it's easy to end up with, if you buy a new home, you've got an app for the garage door, an app for the alarm, an app for the heat pumps, a whole lot of apps for the entertainment system. You know, the list goes on, and it's very, very frustrating to use, difficult to share. So our vision is to, we're working over the last 5 years to develop a system that makes it easy to link everything together. So being able to achieve a high volume outcome, you want to have all apps in one. It's got to be affordable. Generally speaking, it's important for the systems to cover more than one location so that your home or holiday home or your parents' family members, you can actually have an integrated view across these different places. So a single app is a lot easier to share to other people, and it also can help drive through the variety of options in the market. So by way of choosing products that are compatible with a particular solution. The other thing that is relevant around each of these locations that we have is like checklists. So what do I do when I arrive? What do I do when I leave? If it's a new build or new equipment is in the property, what's the maintenance schedule? How do I include that equipment? What do I need to do for maintenance? So we're just folding that into our app at the moment. There's a huge variety of products available on the market, and traditionally the companies that integrate everything together have focused on the professional grade products or the wired products. And so what we've done is to support those products as well. We come from that same background, but also to support as many as possible of the consumer grade products, the ones that you'll see in the retailers and mass market. Generally speaking, the high-end systems are only able to be configured via the tech team on site, specialist tech teams on site, and conversely, the consumer grade products have to be fully configured by the end user. So we've gone for an approach where there's a web interface that allows a multitude of people to be simultaneously working on the system. So an electrician might enroll a new light, but a professional person can integrate it, or somebody technical in the house can be adding in a new logic or something to that location. Having different user views is an important thing to look out for when selecting a system. So you've got generally you've got an owner or a complete full view, but often there's people like a cleaner or a tradesperson or visitors need to have a different view, a more limited view of the property. Logic is really what makes it all happen. So being able to create a thing that when you come home, open the garage door, some lights come on, the air conditioning comes on, or perhaps that even happens when you leave work. Integrating all these things together when you're moving from finishing cooking into dining, maybe one button push can adjust lights and the environment in one go. In order to deploy these things effectively, we've focused a lot on creating templates which can be deployed at scale. So it allows someone to buy a whole solution and then have that deployed into the system. So they can really make the whole thing cost effective because it both saves time and also the DIY products that are not, most of the time the DIY products end up not being programmed properly. It's either too complex for the user or just too time consuming. So they're not really getting the full benefit that they can from the solution. We'll have a little bit of a look at some of the things that are covered within Smart Home Integrated System these days. Of course, you've got the alarm, so being able to set and unset it from anywhere. Accessing both the access control to the property via things like a Yale lock or a digital door lock, and being able to access cameras is a key part of the security side of things. We're also into having different layers of notification, so you can self-monitor the alarm if it goes off. So anytime an alarm goes off to a group of people, and you can respond back, hey, it just me, false alarm, or can you check, or you can have it optionally escalating through to an alarm company, a call centre, or then send a guard. Lighting. So it's not necessarily just about turning on the light in the room that you're in. It's the automation side of it is having all the lights come on in a burglary or a fire, all the lights go off when you leave. Scene, so maybe when you arrive home, and for the purposes of saving energy, when no occupancy is detected, turning the lights off. Creating that security deterrence of a lived-in look when away, so the lights coming on at random times in the areas that people would generally be using, and the lighting scenes. So having a lot of these days, you end up with a lot of lights in a property, particularly the higher end properties, and all done nicely by a lighting designer. But unless you have an integrated system, you're going to end up stabbing around trying to control these from different buttons. So controlling groups of lights together into a scene or a voice command really does bring everything to life in a fantastic way. Motorised blinds, we can now even do those retrofittably into battery-powered blinds. Again, you might have them, we've standardly programmed to be all open in a burglary or fire, optionally closing when you leave the house. They can be used for energy retention or keeping warmth in or out. Arriving home soon, closing automatically at dusk, and the lived-in lock when you're away. Controlling the HVAC system, so either ducted or on-wall heat pumps, also tower rails, underfloor heating, heaters and fans can be controlled and automated from the system. So fan timers, we'll talk about later, but trying to minimise the energy usage, particularly during the peak times. Making it easy to use electric and underfloor heating. As we discussed, we like to use the green mode, particularly for something like a hydronic underfloor heating, which is a great store of energy. You can significantly reduce the energy used during the peak times, both reducing cost to the end user, but also it's a really important way to reduce greenhouse gases and fossil fuels being used for generation at peak times. Tower warmers, scheduling those, having them again in green mode. Tower rails don't need to be on 24 hours a day. For your electric vehicles, setting them up to charge from renewables where possible. Most people buying an EV don't want them charged from from coal. They want them charged from solar where possible. Ability to override these types of green modes, if you do need a fast charge, some systems lock the user out, so that can be a frustrating experience. Being notified when the vehicle's charged can be useful. And another big one is being able to calculate the billing for cross-charging to the workplace, or if it's an apartment or a shared space, being able to plug your EV into some other meter and pay for that usage properly. Monitoring the energy usage in the property and just literally shifting variable loads during peak times is probably one of the biggest things that can be done to reduce greenhouse gases in New Zealand's targets that has not been widely talked about. So preheating, pre-cooling, and literally just running things like variable loads. We mean things like hot water cylinders, pool pumps, EVs that don't need to be running during the peak times. So that's a key feature that we program into everywhere possible. If you've got solar and batteries, even better. We can detect when the building's generating more energy than it's consuming and use that excess power internally. So once the hot water's hot and the battery's charged and the EV's charged, then potentially preheating or pre-cooling a room. It'll not only reduce the payback period of the solar system, because you generally get about 7 or 8 cents to send the energy back to the grid, and you're paying 20 plus cents for that. So the other big one that people want to find out if they are in a power cut is, or they want to have enough energy there to last if there is a power cut, is what's my current time remaining on the battery at the current usage. If you do have a battery system, the other scenario is to reduce the energy just over the peak time, so drawing down from the battery during that peak time to reduce the greenhouse gases from the fossil fuel generation. Integrated entertainment, so this is controlling TVs, the source equipment, multi-room audio, surround sound, either from the app or from voice commands. So the convenience of saying, Alexa, turn on Sky Sport 1, or Alexa, turn on movie mode, is a great way to enjoy your home entertainment systems. So having the audio systems discreetly mounted into the house is a huge improvement aesthetically. Things like the frame TVs or drop-down screens can allow you to have a good entertainment system visually and audibly, but having them not dominating in the room. These days it's also really cool if you can easily share your devices, so family photos, inspirational art, visualizations, sharing from your mobile or tablet. And in terms of audio, most TVs have a poor sound these days because they're all screen. So having discrete and more speakers, it can even be done visibly, provides you with great sound as well as great visuals. And finally, the other one is multi-room audio and video. So that allows you to have the same image on multiple TVs. Quite often you've got a TV in the family room and another TV in the lounge, or an outdoor TV, or a little screen in the kitchen. And it's really awesome being able to have that same image mirrored around the house, either for movies or sports mode with friends over. Looking at some of the products that are available these days, that these ones do have to be compatible with our system. So you've got the wireless products. So the Windsor does a little Bluetooth digital lock, and Abloy produces a range of digital door locks as well. On the alarm side of things, there's the smart alarm can have the motion detectors connected to it, which are also used to detect lack of motion to turn off energy devices. Integrating your smoke and heat detectors and your cameras allow ease of really understanding what's happening with your security. Lighting is now really easy to integrate. There's an image here showing how the lighting neck just plugs in to the switch plates. And with the smart necks available now, that can it's not a huge cost to even retrofit that or include it in your new home. They PDL Iconic use have a range of Zigbee smart necks, you can use Bluetooth ones, which is ideal because they talk to each other, form a mesh. You can get Wi-Fi ones, but Wi-Fi we recommend only if you've got under say 10 of those. Otherwise, just shifting to the Bluetooth allows more flexibility and not having tying up all your Wi-Fi with their Lightnings. Z-Wave is super fast. It can fit behind any NIC or switch, and as it's not through the cloud when you're on site, it has that instant effect off the phones compared to a slight few milliseconds delay that you get with the cloud-based ones. Interfacing to the HVAC system, funnily enough, they're built-in systems that are available if you order the Wi-Fi with the heat pump. It's generally not compatible with any third-party system. But a company called Intersys produces a little module that goes there instead. So you can credit back the Panasonic or the Daikin controller and pop in the Intersys one, and you can control that in an integrated manner through the system. That's just how the entertainment's controlled. So our little hub has IR controls to the TVs and source equipment, and then you can control it all from Alexa or your smartphone. The amplifiers are available either in two kind of main types. You've got the surround sound model that usually has 5 or more speakers in the room, a centre speaker and left and right and some rear speakers, and a subwoofer. Alternatively, around the house, you have either in-ceiling or in-wall or outdoor speakers, and they can be driven by a little multi-room amplifier that'll do up to 4 pairs of speakers, or this one here that does up to 6 pairs. And both of those you can expand them to, by having multiple of them, up to 32 zones. Video matrix switch that lets you share the video from something like Apple TV or your MySky so that it can be the same image on multiple TVs around the property. Wireless security, easy to retrofit now. There's Zigbee is a great way to have low power devices. It uses a lot less power, therefore longer battery life than Wi-Fi. You can get motion detectors, door sensors, panic buttons, smoke detectors, although you do have to have them as an additional module now because those particular ones aren't certified, and the human presence detectors. Temperature sensors, blood sensors, CO2 sensors, all easily integrated as well. There's a range of wireless cameras for indoor and outdoor. One's built into a security light, so you just replace your existing security light with that. Operates in the normal way, but also includes a camera, and you can have it turn on from the app or voice command or some other input. Heat panels, having a little wireless temperature sensor in the room can provide a much more accurate control. And there's a little IR blaster that's compatible with the system for retrofit. Motorized blinds, curtains. We have a camp family care system with motion detectors that if there's no motion in the room, say in the kitchen between 6 and 9 AM, this creates an alert. Also, if they have panic buttons, there's wireless kettles, vacuum cleaners, so they can only come on, they can be set to come on when the alarm's set when you're not at home. Wi-Fi electric blankets and fans, appliances. And so those are all very affordable products in the wireless range that we talked about. In a larger home or commercial buildings, it's good to use the wired KNX system. And in that case there, you have the lights are wired back to centralized dimmers and relays, and then there's a cable that goes to the switch. So that allows you to program anything you want on the switch, and the switch can also be used to cover multiple functions, make it really easy to use, like your lighting, your blinds, and your HVAC, heating and cooling systems, all in one simple to use switch. In that case, if you're using the KNX system, then there's a way to also have the same system controlling the heat pumps and bringing that control directly into the switches. Hydronic underfloor heating systems. So a lot of cost saving can be made by not buying the third-party control systems, where we can just control it all with this one integrated, internationally standardized KNX system. And apart from standard cameras, these days there's a lot of options. We have options for video analytics, so that'll actually track people and differentiate people from other animals and other movement, so that you can then see, works a bit more like the human brain. Is that really somebody coming up to the door and create an event based on that? If people want physical remote controls or all touchscreens and budget allows, you can link into the RTI system for a range of remotes, touchscreens, and then more controllers. Music systems and third-party products. Still a bit of an overview of how we've gone about attempting to provide one system that can start from literally somebody buying a light bulb or a single motion detector and integrating through to a $25 million mega mansion with all functions, without having to sort of throw things away. And along the way, there is still a requirement to choose from a range of integrated products that we've developed that into a range of products that standards-based products that do cover a very wide variety of options, as wide as possible. So that's a quick overview of smart homes, where it's up to. Where's the future? I think a lot of the development that is coming along is just around being able to anticipate what people are needing, and improving the automation of that. So things like some of the things we're working on is how much energy does it take to warm or cool that room, and can we perhaps start doing that outside the peak times, or whilst the energy is there from solar systems. And then perhaps how do we tell if we're doing the wrong thing? If all the doors and windows are open, then the pattern, the profile we'll be able to detect that, and then perhaps stop wasting energy in that scenario. Some of the other things is predicting when people are likely to be coming home, or when people are around the home and needing to be heated or cooled, and linking this back also to the macro. So if it's a really cold night, instead of having to have power blackouts, which can have massive effects on some people, like what happened in Wellington last year, then perhaps we can instead allow people can open up to have a little bit of control, where perhaps their thermostat is turned down slightly, but that it does allow everybody to have some power in the case of a shortage of power. So smarter systems. It's not only generation side of things. The lines companies are also, as we shift to electric vehicles and generally shift away from gas and things to electrification, these things are putting a huge demand on the electricity grid, the lines, the transformers, and the generation, and operating that in a smarter way is something that we're really keen to support. The other side of the smart home thing is helping people that are needing some extra assistance. So it might be aged care, people with dementia, blind and low vision, other physical conditions that require help. And we're really excited about bringing some of that technology to help people out in their daily lives and to stay living on in their homes more independently. So that's a little bit about us and a little bit about home automation. Thanks for attending. Anyone have any questions? Not sure how much we're supposed to plug ourselves, but our website is smartlife.nz, and you can have a look at, find out a bit more about what we do there. We've got technology showrooms around the country as well. You can come in and see what it's all about. We have one in Albany, one in the Home Ideas in Auckland Central, one in Whangarei, one in Tauranga, one in Palmerston North, and one in Nelson. So thanks for attending and have a great tech week.
Thank you.
Thank you.